Fit, active, healthy, happy, enjoying the prime of your life. Looking out for your health and wellness, this is Health Talk with Fred Lowry from Lowry Drug in Statesville. Visit Fred at his store, conveniently located on Hartness Road in Statesville.
Good afternoon. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine, and welcome to Health Talk. This episode was pre-recorded for February the 6th, 2026, exploring the facets of your health and keeping you up to date and informed. This program is intended to share knowledge based on my research and experience. It is not intended to offer individual advice, nor does it replace a one-on-one relationship with a qualified healthcare professional. Your daily choices are yours and have more to do with your health than anyone in the healthcare field. My hopes are that this show will empower you with knowledge to take a more proactive approach to your health. Some of my sources include, but are not limited to, various health feeds, Epic Times, Mercola, Children's Health Defense, PubMed, and various Substack posts. First out, this was a study on the effectiveness of influenza vaccines during the 2024-2025 season. Kind of interesting. It was done with employees of the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio, starting November 1, 2024. It included the cumulative incidence of influenza among the vaccinated and unvaccinated, and this was compared and followed over 25 weeks. There were 52,402 employees, 43,857, that's 82.1%, received the vaccine by the end of the study. Influenza incidence was 1,079 people, so just barely over 2% got flu. That sounds pretty good. The cumulative incidence of flu was similar for the vaccinated and the unvaccinated over the course of the study, but the longer the study went, if you got vaccinated, you were more likely to get the flu. The study found that the vaccination of working age adults was associated with a higher risk of influenza during that season, suggesting that the vaccine had not been effective in preventing influenza this season. I'm not sure you can actually tell in many cases if the vaccination would ever be effective because of the variation in individuals, but this is something that doesn't surprise me in that all the flu components that are in the shot were flu viruses from the past. So, and as far as I know, most of the people getting the vaccinations were around during the past. So, they might have immunity to those. The other thing that has been pretty well documented in the COVID-19 type interventions is the concept of antibody-dependent enhancement, and that is that the concept that if you get the shot, you might be protected from whatever you were immunized against, but you're more likely to pick up other viruses. So your immune system becomes over-focused on what the shot happened to be, and then can't deal with the other viruses that you may encounter that were not included in that shot. Also in the news, this was published February 2nd, scientists published a map for how aluminum in vaccines can cause brain injury that triggers autism. So, a lot of the past focus had been on mercury in shots, and certainly that is a neurotoxin. But we also know aluminum to be that as well. And so aluminum adjuvants basically mean that other components of the shot that they can and likely do cause autism supposedly in genetically susceptible babies and children. I would argue that any type of toxicity, including aluminum, maybe that doesn't, even if it doesn't manifest in autism spectrum disorder, it certainly does damage to the body. This was a Children's Health Defense scientific paper. Chief Science Officer Brian Hooker laid the biochemical and physiological framework that explains how aluminum-containing vaccines can cause autism spectrum disorder. Co-authors conclude that the mechanistic and neuropathological, epidemiological, and genetic evidence shows that aluminum adjuvants can trigger autism spectrum disorder, once again, in quote-unquote genetically susceptible individuals, causing brain inflammation. They consider this groundbreaking because it scientifically explains the causal link between vaccines and autism that has been denied and dismissed for over 30 years. Finally, in November of 25, the CDC actually revised its autism webpage to say that there's no evidence to support a blanket claim that vaccines do not cause autism. We reported on that earlier. The web page previously stated that there's no link between vaccine and autism, and that vaccines do not cause autism. So that was inaccurate. It now says that the claim that vaccines do not cause autism is not an evidence-based claim because studies have not ruled out that possibility. So in this paper, apparently there were over 200 studies that they reviewed, and they met criteria for causation, which is another big issue. So here we have that situation. The vaccines actually that have aluminum in it include hepatitis B. That's the one that's given day one when a child's born. DTaP, H flu, polio, pneumococcal disease, and hepatitis A, and also the HPV, human papilloma virus. So keep in mind, one of the problems and the reasons they put in the aluminum is to get a better reaction, immune reaction from the body, and that is supposedly what makes the vaccines actually work if they do. I know that sounds a little presumptuous, but nonetheless, years ago when they were creating vaccines, they discovered quite by accident that aluminum gets a stronger immune reaction and so kind of primes the immune system for the reaction of whatever the antigen is that they put in that shot. More on that when we come back. Stay tuned for more Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry. Welcome back to Health Talk. This is Fred Lowry, pharmacist and doctor of natural medicine. We're talking about aluminum related to vaccinations. So, according to this paper, it says that anyone reading the paper would understand how an aluminum nanoparticle adjuvant vaccine can create a pathway of injury and inflammation that can alter synaptic pruning, brain architect, and inflammation. Synaptic pruning, synapse is the connection of brain tissue. That pruning refers to what the brain normally does between the ages of 3 months and 3 years, the time during which it undergoes dramatic remodeling. The authors wrote that redundant or immature synapses get pruned away, and new connectivity patterns form that will serve the person into adulthood. So aluminum adjuvants can disrupt this process by triggering an immune response that causes inflammation in the brain, encephalitis, and this happens during the peak of when a baby's brain is developing. One other comment here is a common ingredient called polysorbate 80 is an issue. I did note that now we have 1 in 31 children being diagnosed with autism. Interestingly enough, last December, the publication Pediatrics, which is the flagship journal for the American Academy of Pediatrics, published a review claiming that the evidence strongly supports the safety of aluminum adjuvants and their necessity for certain vaccines. That would be nice if it were true. Certainly is not. One of the products that I really have grown to appreciate is called zeolite. Zeolite powder is a really great detox product in that it actively attaches to toxins in the body so that they can be removed. So the zeolite has a negative charge to it, so it picks up positively charged particles, heavy metals, petroleum. It's been said to pick up components of vaccinations that are problematic. It's actually used to remove microplastics from water. It's a pretty interesting product. Now it picks up the particles based on charge, so we're including metals, petroleum, mold. It can pick up radiation type particles as well, microplastics. So it has a lot of use, and we do see some symptom resolution when people take this product, and possibly it's because they're decreasing the overall toxic load. I do recommend the powder and water. It doesn't taste that great. It's a bit chalky. Best time to take it is on an empty stomach. Adults should take probably a tablespoonful, 10 to 15 grams per day if they're going to do that. So one of the caveats to this is the containers usually have a really small scoop. You really need more material than that, because what happens is this material picks up whatever the toxin is based on the charge, but it has an affinity for some charges more than others. So if you have enough material of the zeolite on board, the zeolite may actually pick something up and then drop it in favor of something else. But when you have enough on board, it's not a problem. It picks up the other particles. So something to keep in mind. I ran across this article about Dr. Katie Hind. She's a lactation specialist, and it was pretty fascinating. Apparently in 2008, she was working in a primate laboratory, and she was testing milk samples. And one of the things she noticed is that the milk produced for males was different than what females got. Male babies got richer milk. Female babies got more volume. She was a postdoctoral researcher at this California National Primate Research Center, analyzing the milk of rhesus macaque mothers. So she'd been measuring the fat and the content, protein, mineral concentration, and found something that she did not expect. These monkey mothers were producing completely different milk depending on whether they had given birth to a son or a daughter. Sons received milk with higher concentrations of fat protein, and the daughters received more milk with higher calcium levels. So the biological recipe wasn't universal. It apparently was customized. So it wasn't random variation, it was systematic. So what she thought she'd been taught about mother's milk in graduate school was it was nutritious, provide calories, proteins, and fat. But if the milk's just fuel, then why would it differ based on the baby's sex? And the answer that she came up with is milk isn't passive; it's a message. Now, this is pretty interesting. So she did go into more research on other dairy formulas, other milk sources, and apparently human milk, there was actually very little studies on that. So as she collected these milk samples, different stages of lactation, she tracked the infant development and measured maternal characteristics, she could start asking questions that really haven't been asked. So one thing that happens is, why do young mothers produce milk with more stress hormones? We don't really think about that, but obviously on the surface, if you have a new mother, this is a brand new experience for this individual, and depending on whatever support this young woman may have at home, can certainly alter stress levels. So there's a lot of intuitive stuff about this. She discovered that first-time monkey mothers produce milk with fewer calories, but higher concentrations of cortisol than experienced mothers. So experienced mothers weren't as stressed. Pretty obvious there. Babies who consumed higher calorie cortisol milk grew faster, obviously, but they were more nervous and less confident. It wasn't just feeding the baby's body, it was programming the baby's temperament. The other question was, how does the milk respond when babies get sick? Working with researchers who studied infant illness, she found that when babies develop infections, their mother's milk changes within hours. White blood cells counts in the milk increase dramatically, and once the baby is well, then the levels turn back to normal. The mechanism was remarkable. When a baby nurses, a small amount of the baby's saliva travels through the nipples, according to them, into the mother's breast tissue. The saliva contains information about the baby's immune status. If the baby's fighting an infection, the mother's body detects the antigens and begins producing specific antibodies, which flow back to the baby through the milk. This is pretty amazing. So it was really kind of a dialogue, or a baby's communication with the mother. It's, to me, it's just incredible how the human body works and adapts. This researcher collected milk from over 250 rhesus macaque mothers, more than 700 samplings. She measured cortisol, growth factors, hormones, tracked baby's weight. And what she was mapping, she said, was a language that basically had been invisible. Almost nobody was studying human breast milk with the same rigors of other biological systems. This is the world's first food that has nourished every human being that has ever lived, and has basically been scientifically neglected. She did start a blog about this. So this, of course, made people start asking questions about the bioactive compounds in milk, how milk from mothers with premature babies different from milk produced from full-term infants, etc. More on this when we come back. Stay tuned for more Health Talk.
Doctor, my eyes have seen the years and the slow parade of fears without
Welcome back to
crying.
Health Talk.
Now I want to
This is Fred Lowry of Lowry Drug in Statesville on Harkness Road. We were established in 1959. We are a traditional family pharmacy with a state-of-the-art compounding laboratory. We offer a full line of medical equipment and supplies, including CPAP, scooters, oxygen, lift chairs. We also have a full line of supplements, nutritionals, herbs, essential oils, homeopathics, and more. Come see us. We're talking about Dr. Katie Hine, some of her research related to milk in macaque monkeys and how that relates to human beings. She did co-author a book called Building Babies. She has a TED Talk that has certainly some useful information. And one of the things that part of that is related to how we support nursing mothers. It takes a tremendous amount of time and energy and effort for mothers to nurse their babies. And in her mind, and I think it's an accurate commentary, is that we probably don't do enough to support women in that situation. So, in response to that, of course, pharmaceutical companies have come up with all kinds of formulas for babies. There's no way you can argue that is better than mother's milk. Certainly there are situations that that becomes necessary. But there's just so much more to this. Breast milk is food, it's medicine, it's information, it builds the body's body and it fuels behavior. It carries bacteria that colonize infants' guts, hormones, influences metabolism. It has components that actually feed microbes that the baby's not able to consume themselves. A lot of immune factors to protect against pathogens. Certainly that's pretty well known. So this individual has really kind of pioneered a lot about breast milk. And so one of the other things when you get into the composition of breast milk and the signaling, this is all really part of the circadian rhythm of the body. Milk composition actually changes significantly throughout the day based on nature's clock, if you will. And hormones are higher in the morning. Cortisol is higher in the morning, just like in people, than it is in the evening. So not only does this milk production follow natural rhythms of light, daylight, and darkness, but it also is a reflection of the mother's health, the mother's situation, the mother's nutritional perspectives, and many times that when babies are having trouble with reflux and other types of things, it has to do with the mother's diet, and those things can be altered to improve that situation. Once again, the two most common problems with in nursing and lactation related to diet is related to wheat and actual dairy of this day and age. So that is something to keep in mind. There are hormones that come through mother's milk. Melatonin rises in the evening. There's different protein patterns in terms of when proteins are produced. Pretty interesting. Fat content is higher than in the evening than in the morning. Iron reaches its peak around noon. Vitamin E increases in the evening. All the minerals that the body operates on highest in the morning. So this is all these terms are collectively called chrononutrition, which actually relates back to light. So kind of interesting commentary too, in the concept that all these things do change throughout the day. So and it brings up questions really about things with our bodies, and when you do labs. If you do, as an example, with a adrenal lab, if you collect and measure cortisol in the morning, it's going to be different in the morning at other times of the day. And it can also be related to what happened to you 30 minutes ago. So the point of this is the body is always changing, adapting, and pretty fascinating that mothers feed infants with a different product that they produce throughout the day. A few weeks ago, we talked about metabolism and cellular energy, and part of that gets back to insulin and sugar and the actual energy that we burn or that we need to operate on. I ran across an article about mood disorders actually can be rooted in metabolic diseases, like insulin resistance. So it is kind of interesting, really, from the aspect of the role of insulin. So we know about insulin; it is one of the most important signaling hormones in the body. Its job is basically to make glucose go into the cells, so you've got energy to burn. It's produced in something called beta cells in the pancreas, and it's basically, this whole process is to provide fuel for your body in a smooth, organized fashion. So after a meal, your blood sugar rises, your pancreas senses this and responds by releasing more insulin. It acts almost immediately, moving glucose out of the blood into your cells. And this prevents sugar levels from climbing too high. Insulin plays a stabilizing role basically in your body's overall energy. So it's involved in the way your brain processes thoughts, in the way your muscle contracts during movement, the way energy flows. It signals when to store glucose in your liver and your muscles as glycogen, which is kind of a backup fuel that you can draw on later between meals. It influences how much fat is stored, how much tissue is preserved, pardon me, and how hungry you are or how full you feel. So insulin makes sure that your energy needs are met not just in the moment, but in the hours of the days that follow. The goal, of course, is to always have, be the same, to match the fuel supply with the demands of the cells so that your body and brain functions without interruption. So, of course, this insulin balance can be disrupted, and the effect can be quite problematic as well. So research in Nature Neuroscience examined how pancreatic function may influence mood related to depression and other bipolar disorders, that type of thing. So there's a lot of research on that connected to that. And of course, one of the drugs that we use is metformin, is supposed to improve both the insulin sensitivity for patients. But there's problems with that. We'll talk about later. Stay tuned for more health talk. Welcome back to Health Talk. We're talking about insulin resistance, the body's ability to maintain energy needs. It's said that about 40% of people are insulin resistant. What that means is your cells are not acting properly in the presence of insulin. So blood sugar is not getting in properly. The type of sugar you can consume can play an important role in this. Certainly, sugars in fruits or those type of things are packed. There's fiber there, vitamins, minerals. It's not absorbed as quickly, so there's not a big peak of sugar there. So, conversely, if you drink a soda or eat candy, you don't really have that buffer. So glucose floods the body, and we're going to see later why that damages blood vessels and causes cholesterol to go up, as well as all kinds of other things. So when your glucose floods into your bloodstream, insulin goes up, and over a period of time, and a lot related to diet of other things, consuming the wrong foods, processed foods, your cells don't really respond to insulin. And so that's where the insulin resistance come in. The kind of fats that you consume are really important related to this, as your cells have fat membranes. And so when you're putting in the wrong fats, the cellular membrane does not respond properly. There's plastics that play a role in this, or endocrine disruptors. So electromagnetic fields play a role in this. So chronic stress, lifestyle, all of this plays a role. Now, the elevated blood sugar does basically cause damage. It causes long-term effects on blood vessels and nerves in your cardiovascular system, damaging the blood vessels, increasing the risk of heart disease. Your nervous system, neuropathy, damages nerves, causing tingling and pain. Severe cases of can impair sensation, leading to undetected injuries and foot ulcers. Damages your eyes, your kidneys, can cause hearing loss, dental problems, skin issues, mental health issues, immune issues. It just goes on and on. So when you get into the damage of the blood vessels, the elevated blood sugar causes inflammation and stress on this. There's a thin layer inside lining the blood vessels, and it basically impairs the body's ability to regulate blood flow and repair itself. So elevated blood sugar is really terrible for your cardiovascular system. Once this endothelium, the liner, is damaged, then now it needs cholesterol, especially the LDL, to get inside the vessel wall and for repair. And this triggers an immune response, so white blood cells attempt to clear the cholesterol, but if it becomes overwhelmed, it kind of turns into these something like foamy cells and forms fatty plaques, just from the issue with blood sugar. So the cholesterol, the impact on cholesterol is direct and indirect. you end up getting a shift that reduces the HDL and increases the LDL, and now you're moving towards the heart attack and stroke kind of position. Fish oil is very helpful for some of these. It does help increase HDL and decreases triglycerides. So, your blood sugar is an indicator of a problem. Your triglycerides, that's all from eating a lot of carbs. So, and then you can get into the question of what else does insulin do? Now, insulin is a protein, but it primarily promotes the anabolic processes, which is the buildup of muscle and tissue in the body. Insulin does stimulate the uptake of fats. It does all the things we talked about, but it also stimulates protein synthesis. So it enhances the uptake of amino acids, proteins in the muscles and other tissue. It helps support the storage of glycogen, which is basically something you can use for energy. Regulates cell growth and proliferation. It acts as a growth hormone in signaling. It increases nitric oxide, another neurotransmitter that promotes vasodilation and increase, healthy cardiovascular tissues. So when you start thinking about the downstream impacts of that soft drink or that candy or that sugar and all the things that you're doing wrong with your diet, this is how we create disease. And then we want to come in with a drug like metformin, which has different mechanisms for lowering blood sugar. And I've heard pharmacists say that taking metformin is like an anti-aging drug. I disagree with that. There are certainly benefits to the drug in terms of blood sugar control, but it still goes back to how you eat, the foods that you consume, the choices that you make every day. Metformin works, has different mechanisms with people with type 2 diabetes, and it's been used for polycystic ovarian syndrome. Primarily acts on the liver, reduces glucose production there. It blocks enzymes in the liver. That's never a good thing. It acts in the intestine. It apparently delays glucose absorption from food, lowering the post-meal blood sugar spikes. Increases insulin sensitivity in the muscles and fat tissue, which all sounds good. It does not increase insulin secretions. So the question comes up, how would it increase sensitivity? And it does this apparently in the liver through an enzyme system there. But one of the mechanisms here is that it does interfere with the production of energy in ATP, and that's a problem. One of the other emerging roles here with metformin is supposedly it modulates gut microbiomes, which it says may improve further metabolic health. You really can't alter the gut's microbiome in a positive way. It's just too complex, and anytime a drug does that, there's going to be issues with it. There's always downstream problems. Now, the thing that is never really talked about is that metformin directly impairs mitochondrial function. The mitochondria we've talked about is the energy powerhouses of your cell. It's how you make ATP. And so what happens is as the metformin interferes with what we call electron transport chain of energy, it basically, the results is that the cells go more into the aerobic glycolysis. This is kind of a different way of making energy, which actually ends up feeding cancer in the long run. So certainly there's side effects with impairing mitochondrial function related to skeletal muscles. That's a problem. This is dose dependent. Higher doses are worse than the low doses. And apparently the effects are reversible once you stop it. So that would be helpful. So once again, there's really no substitute for altering your diet and improving your health. There are things that you can't control, but certainly there are a lot of things that you can control. And obviously I'm a pharmacist, and drugs have a place, and particularly there are individuals that don't have other answers, perhaps, for whatever reason. And so that's where that happens, but it doesn't really solve a problem. Thanks for tuning in for Health Talk. Have a great weekend.